And with me in the studio is Daniel Russell, President and CEO of US-Russia Business Council. What are the companies that are particularly interesting for the Russian investors in the United States? What sectors of the economy are particularly attractive?
Yeah, I would say sectors rather than talk about individual companies, because I think it gives you a better picture. Certainly, oil and gas, energy is always going to be one of the key parts of the relationship between the two countries. I think you have pharmaceuticals, which of course is a global industry, and there's some very competitive Russian companies at this point. You have metals and mining. Those would probably be the top ones right off the top of my head.
How would you describe the business activity on the part of Americans towards Russia? How active are American businessmen in the Russian market?
Well, many American companies came here in the 1990s and they invested. And they did it because they have a strategic long-term perspective towards this market. And anybody who's ever worked on U.S.-Russia relations knows that politically we're going to have ups and downs. And I think that they're looking beyond the current political difficulties to a long-term relationship. And I think that they're strategic is the word I would use to describe them. They were here in most cases 10 years ago, in some cases 20 years ago, and when they look ahead, they expect to be here in 10 or 20 years.
Okay. Well, compared, say, to their European counterparts, I would say, perhaps this is my impression, that the turnover of European companies working in Russia is much higher than the Americans. Why is that?
Well, you have this thing called distance. Europe is right next door to Russia. The United States is farther away. But with global value chains today, it's pretty hard to decide which company is really American and which one's really international. You know, if you look at iPhones, they're counted as an import from China into Russia. But obviously, it's an iconic American design product. You have United States companies who basically operate in the Russian market from their European subsidiaries. So a lot of that cut in trade from Germany, some of it certainly involves U.S. corporations who are based there, whose European headquarters are.
What is it, in your opinion, that the two countries need to sort of remove so that their communication is smoother and more effective?
Well, I think you're going to have some difficulties in trade between even the best of allies. I can tell you, when I worked in government, one of my most difficult negotiations was not with Russians on arms control, but with the British on a bilateral aviation agreement. So trade's always going to be hard fought and tough because it means money and it means jobs. I think the United States and Russia in key sectors have a nice fit. Whether you're talking about aerospace, energy, pharmaceuticals, there's very much a natural fit there. And I think what the governments need to do is create a regulatory environment that is very business friendly and competitive.